Greetings, everyone in viewerland, and welcome to the Hump Day edition of The Rundown. My name is Mike Borski. I'll be your host for today's episode, but I do not do this program by myself.
No, you do not, sir. My name is Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast in California. Also enjoying the Hump Day edition of The Rundown. It is a pleasure to be here with you on Hump Day. I hope all is going well for you all.
Going pretty good on this side of the coast, this side of the country, Craig, on my coast. And how are things going for you out there, like you said, in California, California?
Well, you know, we have a date for the recall of the governor, so things are exciting. Things are good things. You know, we got a number of people that people know nationally that are getting it, that are jumping in. One of them, well, he's still considering Larry Elder, the libertarian radio talk show host from Los Angeles, is considering doing it.
Right.
A local assemblyman that I happen to be a supporter of has jumped into the race. Anyway, it's going to be fun. Yeah. I'm looking forward to, at the very least, a lot of trash talking against Gavin Mussolini.
Yeah, how many people, legitimate candidates do they think there are? I mean, I remember last time this happened, it was 30 or 40. I mean, what are you looking at this time?
Well, you're probably going to have Kevin Faulconer, who's the mayor of San Diego, is probably going to be the number one contender. You're also going to have John Cox, who ran against him for governor, is probably going to be also in the mix. Kevin Kiley, who's an assemblyman here in the Northern California area, is, in my opinion, the best choice. He's both conservative, understands the muck and the mire, the swamp that is Sacramento.
Gotcha.
And then you're going to have, obviously, if Larry Elder gets in, he's going to be the biggest name amongst conservatives. And honestly, the one reason why I kind of want to see him up there is because he will utterly embarrass Gavin Newsom and make him look like like the idiot he is.
No Gary Coleman, no porn stars, no crazy names like that this time around.
I know there's at least one porn star. I think the same one who was in it last time, which that was such a. It's been so long since that individual was a porn star. I don't know that we really. I don't know that it qualifies. It's a whole different genre or fetish that we don't even want to get into now.
HD cameras have ruined her career.
And then obviously you've got Caitlyn Jenner, who, quite frankly, would be if Caitlyn Jenner were still Bruce Jenner, would probably be considered a legitimate candidate.
Yeah, because I don't know what you would call the first spouse there in that case.
I don't know. And I'm not, look, this is not me being, however you feel about trend, whatever. My whole point is that there are enough people in California who have issues with it that are just not going to take Caitlyn Jenner seriously.
Yeah, and in fact, it is still at the point where, and again, no offense intended, when you say Caitlyn Jenner, I'm trying to remember which one of the sisters that is. But I have to remember, no, that's Bruce's new name. Got it. Okay.
There you go.
Oh, all right. So enough of the banter, enough of the laugh and the ha-ha. Let's get on to some real news today for you here on the Rundown. First, we're going to talk to you about out there in California. Where it's the land of sunshine and movie stars, right? Walgreens, 17 Walgreens in the Bay Area, including some Targets that are closing early. But these 17 Walgreens are now shutting down due to all of the crime and the thefts in the area there in San Francisco. Now, I know we've talked to you about this before. California has the law now where it's not a felony in shoplifting now unless it's over, I believe it's $950. So people are just going in with bags and carts and grabbing stuff and hauling butt, Craig.
Well, because here's what's happened. So you've got a combination of things that are going on here. First of all, you have the fact that in order for something to be a felony, meaning a serious crime. By the way, felonies used to just mean like violent or serious. I mean serious crimes.
Yeah.
But which meant that misdemeanors did get punished, right? So first of all, we've decided we're not going to punish misdemeanors at all, right? We're not going to arrest you for a misdemeanor. So that's first and foremost. Then they decided that they're going to let all the criminals out who committed crimes that were once considered felonies but are now misdemeanors. Yeah, we're now going to let you guys all out onto the streets of California. And then we're going to put in place an attorney general, or we've had attorneys general, as well as district attorneys who are saying, yeah, we're not going to prosecute the law. We're not going to enforce the law anymore. And so now you've decriminalized crime. You've put criminals out on the streets, and you've told them we're not enforcing or arresting you for any crimes. So what do you get? You get people literally just like in the case of the Walgreens riding their bike into the store with a big old trash bag, scooping stuff off the shelf and riding out because they know that in the end there are going to be no consequences. Now, mind you that a lot of these stores don't operate on high profit margins. What they do is they focus on churn. In other words, they're going to turn that product around super, super fast. But if the product is stealing, is disappearing off the shelves because people are just stealing it, well, then they're just not going to locate in those communities. It's the reason why you have such a hard time getting, like, for example, grocery stores, chain grocery stores in urban communities because the theft is so high. All right, the cost of the additional security plus the fact that people are just going to steal, once again, just gets so high. So they figure they're not, we're just not going to put our stores there. Well, that's what you're starting to see now happen in stores like Walgreens and Target, where they're just saying, yeah, no, we're just not going to be located there anymore. It's just not worth it to us. We can no longer turn a profit there. So if we can't make a profit, then we're not going to put stores there. And what's worse about it is then you got people in those communities saying, we don't have any drug stores. We don't have any stores. We don't have any grocery stores. Well, this is what you get.
Yeah, the opportunity to stand up and say, "Hey, neighbors, we need to start acting like civilized people," and that did not occur. Just to give you guys a little more scope of what Craig's talking about, why this is it's such a big deal over there, is that in many states, most states, for shoplifting to be a felony, it's somewhere in the $100 minimum to $300 minimum, depending on what it is. Misdemeanors, you can't make an arrest. As law enforcement officers, they can't make arrests for misdemeanors unless they witness the crime, with very few exceptions. One of those exceptions has always been shoplifting or retail theft, stealing from a retailer. So in California, they've done away with all of that, like Craig said. So now they've raised it to $950. Now they say they're not arresting misdemeanors. If they do arrest you, they're letting you go on the same day. So there's literally no disincentive there to go out and steal. You're just going to be told, don't do that again as you're doing it again. So, and this is horrible for the community, those people that need those essential services. And now they're going to get stuck with the crooked bodegas or a stop and rob where you buy the old cans on the shelf. And, right. that's about all you're going to get. You're not going to get any top tier, type of sales associates or sales.
Well, and that's the thing, Mike. You talk about some of those, but like some of those bodegas, the reason why their prices are so high is because they don't have the same buying power as major chains do. No. So they have an even slimmer profit margin. So they too cannot afford to be to have shoplifters walk away with their product, because once again, that will wind up putting them out of business. They don't have the ability to factor in that level of theft. And once again, this is another case where, unfortunately, the very people that these people represent, these Democrat politicians represent, are the greatest victims of crime. And the worst crime of it all is the fact that the people who were elected to first and foremost protect them, right, are not doing so. They're, in fact, protecting the people who are victimizing them.
Yeah, the difference between a Walgreens, a Target, and a bodega, Craig, also is that Walgreens and Target, because they don't want liability, they'll just allow you to steal that stuff and walk out the door. Right. In a bodega, if you take a pack of gum, you're going to get chased down the street with a baseball bat and get beamed in the back of the head for it, because that guy knows that came out of his kid's pocket right there. That's his profit money to feed his kids. So he's going to chase you down for it. So
because if he lets you get away with it, then everyone will try to get away with it, and then he has nothing.
Exactly right. And we know that baseball bat also has a capacity of under 10 magazine to it, because it would be illegal to have a high capacity baseball bat. Let's see, Craig. Let's move right along. Let's stay out there in California. Let's talk about the stealing in San Francisco being the new normal, and I think we have a tad little bit of video to take a look at here as well.
All right, so this is at Neiman Marcus, right? This is a video that was taken at Neiman Marcus where basically a group of people just went in and just grabbed a bunch of bags and took off running. As you can see, nobody's going to do anything. Nobody's going to say anything. The police, there's no real security. What's the security there in the store going to do? Absolutely nothing. And they just ran off with stuff. You guys saw last week the video of the guy who just rode his bike into Walgreens with the trash bag and scooped a bunch of stuff off the shelf and rode right out and didn't really care. This is what happens, folks, when you decriminalize crime. This is the vice president's example of, quote unquote, being smart on crime. We talked about Rudy Giuliani and America's mayor, and we talked about how, the way in which he turned New York around was he said, look, we're going to punish even the smallest crimes, because if we punish even the smallest crimes, right, then people know that they're going to be held accountable for the more serious crimes. Because the people, by the way, who commit the more serious crimes started off with the small crimes.
Yeah, in fact, they called them the nuisance crimes, and the police were against them to begin with. And this was, Craig, this was stuff like littering. This was stuff like, to attack a little bit of criminal mischief, a little bit of vandalism, spray painting stuff. Because guess what? If you start to make your town look nice, if you start to take pride in its appearance, then you obviously start to take pride in its crime rate. So that's where Rudy started, and it took the better part of 4 years, the first term there for him, and he turned the police around, and they were like, "Wow, this works," and it's kind of become a model throughout the country in law enforcement. As long as we don't defund them first, that's
there you go. That hits the nail right on the head. And the problem is that you get in order for laws to work, you have to enforce them, and in order to enforce them, you have to have people and a system that will actually enforce it. And you're seeing a wave right now, especially in big cities. You're seeing a wave of district attorneys who are basically saying, yeah, no, we're not going to enforce the law. You have literally, like in Los Angeles County, you have a district attorney who's flat out said, well, unless it's a violent crime, I'm just not going to enforce it. And so you've seen now crime, property crime. You've seen violent crime shooting through the roof in Los Angeles. And even people who are normal Democrat constituencies are saying, dude, we can't have this, because what's happening is we're being victimized now because you refuse to enforce the law.
Yep, exactly right. The only crimes that they're enforcing are ones that are not actually crimes against law enforcement officers, so they can try and make a name for themselves. That's about all they're prosecuting at this point. All right, let's roll right along here, Craig. There has been a significant increase in home defense shootings, around the country, and this has been on the rise. It's almost as if, Craig, that people went out and armed themselves against the criminal element, and now the criminal element feels empowered to do whatever they want to, but they forgot about the one class of people that said no, not happening here, and that's the homeowner.
Oh, nay, I will not have that. Well, but dude, here's the thing that cracks me up about it is that then they want to blame the increase in firearm sales for the increase in gun violence. Now here's the thing. And for those of you who do not know this, when you hear these gun crime statistics being shot out there by the left and by the media, they include as gun violence victims the individuals who seek to rob, who seek to mug, who seek to rape, the perpetrators of crime who wind up getting shot because they by either police or by individuals just defending their home or defending their person. Yeah, they are counted amongst the victims of gun violence. And here's my thing. The only reason that gun violence exists is because, well, you decided you were going to commit a crime against somebody, and they said, "Oh, nay, that will not be happening to me," and that's what happens.
Yeah, you brought a gun to my house. I defended myself. You caught some new holes in your body, and yet that goes on the record as gun violence. Well, I mean, technically it is gun violence, right? This guy came to the house where there was gun, and we ended it with violence.
But it's good gun violence.
It's good gun violence.
Although,
that's right.
although I will say this, and let me go back again. I don't believe in gun violence because guns are not violent.
Right.
Not in and of themselves.
No. Guns are not violent. I mean, I guess if a gun decided that it wanted to go skydiving right by itself and had a
Hmm.
parachute, and the parachute failed and it hit somebody in the head, that could have been violent, right? I mean, the gun would.
Uh,
Oh wait, guns don't go out
mhm.
by themselves and do things. Not even skydive.
No,
Oh, sorry.
as
Sorry,
I've
Greg.
noted, I've laid my firearms out on the table. I've spoken very harshly at them and
Yeah,
disapprovingly
yeah,
at them. I've even left alcohol with them, and just in case
yeah,
they need a little extra motivation,
yeah.
and yet have
Right, right.
come back, and there has been absolutely no violence involving the guns.
Yep. Listen, I've even taken my American-owned firearms and my foreign-owned firearms and treated them differently, and they still have not. Uh, they have not
Mhm.
revolted or anything. It's
Well,
just
exactly. So I've taken my German-owned handgun and my black rifle, and I've treated them disparately. And other than maybe a little Black Guns Matter thing,
yeah.
there really hasn't been any uproar.
Right.
No
Yeah.
violence. There's been no violence is the key right there.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Craig, let's before we jump into the next topic, I want to hit our sponsor today. Before we'll hit him again during the program, but our good friends over at Gorilla Machining, they want to give to you a lower receiver, not a lower receiver, a lower parts kit that goes in a lower receiver that you can use on America's rifle, and with that lower parts kit is a nice T-shirt in a bag here for you. I look, it's sealed, so I guess they must have received complaints about me wearing them before we were giving them out. So now they come in a sealed bag, so I can't wear them first. So you'll be getting yourself a clean shirt, or at least a bag with a shirt in it that's sealed. I don't know if it's clean in there. So thank you to our
Well,
good
they're just
friends.
tired
at
of
Gorilla.
they're tired of getting shirts that smell like bourbon already.
Like, yeah, well, I don't know why they would smell like bourbon in this room. Nothing smells like bourbon in this room because the
Bourbon and the
bottles.
Lord's chicken.
Yeah, if the bourbon's open in this room, it's gone. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the Lord's chicken. The Lord's chicken is how you can save your chicken soul. So,
I just don't want my shirt to smell like the Lord's chicken.
oh well, I mean, I don't mind my shirts smelling like the Lord's chicken. I just don't want them greasy. It's just like
The
like
two
heathen.
usually come together.
No, that's the problem though. The Lord's chicken is not greasy. That's heathen chicken that's greasy. So the Lord's chicken's good for you. It'll heal what ails you.
The heathen chicken is good.
Sure, it is. Yeah, just like hookers and blow, right? Yeah, there you go.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
I read a book. I saw it in an article.
I saw it in a book. I saw
I was
it
watching
online.
Vice on TV. So, all right, let's move right along here. Let's talk about what's going on in Tucson, Arizona. We know that out in Arizona, we have Governor Ducey out there. Doug Ducey, what a great name too, by the way, Governor Ducey. He sounds like a hitman, right? Like how he's gonna break both your legs. Yeah, send Ducey over. He's gonna take care of him.
Send Deuce over. Deucey's got this. Call him
Ducey's gonna
Deuce.
take
We'll
care
just
of
call him
both
Deuce.
legs. Yeah.
Call him
the
Deuce.
So Governor Ducey signed into law with the support, obviously, of the legislation there, making Arizona a Second Amendment sanctuary state. Well, I don't know if you've ever been to Tucson before, but Tucson's kind of the little liberal headquarters in the state of Arizona, and their city council and their mayor and their city attorney have decided that we're not going to be a Second Amendment sanctuary county because we're going to obey the Constitution and do what it says when they tell us to take guns away. And Craig, I had to read that a couple of times, and I was like, hold on, you want to follow the federal Constitution and take away guns when an illegal order comes down to take away guns? I think some of these words don't think what you think they mean. I really think you're having a problem with this, and it's probably your liberal lawyer there. You guys might better call Saul and get a better understanding.
I'm
of
telling
the
you,
laws
I
out
am
there.
99.9% sure that their lawyer has advised them otherwise. I mean, this is the whole problem with the whole
The
quote unquote.
lawyer helped write the statute for them.
Well,
right?
he probably wrote it because they told him to write it. I mean, we'll put it
Okay.
this way: there's no real standing line. This is so one of the challenges, and this is something. The thing about a sanctuary law, right, is that at the county level, it's really difficult for it to have a serious effect at the county or city level, only because you once again you fall under state law, And there's basically the only thing you have is you're just saying, I'm not going to enforce this law. And that's really the only power that you have, is just saying, I'm not going to enforce it. But at the state level, you can actually, if you pass that law at the state level like that, where you're basically saying, look, this is the way it is, then all of a sudden you can be at odds with the state, and you're gonna have legal issues that you're gonna have with the state. If the state declares that they're a sanctuary state, what they're saying is, we're not going to enforce these federal laws, then for the most part, you either do that or you come into conflict with the state, which probably is going to affect your state funding, which, as much as we like to bag on the federal government and all of that, the fact is most of the money in most states actually comes, in most counties and cities, actually come from the state government, not the federal government. So if you guys want to see some of your funds cut off, if you want to see your police not funded, which I think they'll still fund the police because,
Yeah. Craig, at the county level, you're absolutely right about the state level. At the county level,
Right.
the one that it does make a difference to at the county level is the sheriff, the duly appointed,
Yes.
duly elected sheriff
Yes.
of the peoples of that county. Now, this
Right.
is different throughout the South and the West. When you get into the Northeast, it's a little bit different. But in the South and in the West, the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. And I'll give you for instance, here in the state of Florida, I'm in Orange County. And they have the largest police department, largest law enforcement agency with the sheriff's office. You have the City of Orlando Police Department, which is about half the size. So let's call it 1,500 officers versus 3,000. Okay. The police department exists solely because the sheriff's office says they can. He is the chief law enforcement officer. If he says, I don't want you having police in my county anymore, they're gone. They're done. They are the chief law enforcement officers of the county. They can say, listen, that law we are not enforcing. You elected me to enforce the laws. That one I am deeming unconstitutional, and we are not enforcing it. That's where it comes into play at the county level, which is, like you said, at the state level, it's a lot more to do with funding and enforcement. And at the county level, it's, well, we're not doing it. We're just not doing it. Sorry.
No, that is an excellent observation and an excellent point, and it really also affects, like you said, what state are you in? Because
Yes.
that really affects the relationship between local government and state government, especially there at that county level. It also affects the relationship between the cities and the counties. But once again, I think the most amazing thing about this is where you pointed out. They said that they're going to follow the Constitution and infringe on the rights of law-abiding gun owners.
Yes. Well, that's the liberal mentality, right? The Constitution
Right.
gives them the power to take your guns away if they want to, because it's a living, breathing document, Craig. It's not something written in stone.
Well, that they can interpret any way they want.
Exactly right.
Don't get caught up in the words of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
let those words get in the way of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Because when I was in school in the 70s and 80s, I had a hippie teacher tell me it was a living, breathing document, which means I can do whatever I want with it. No.
No.
That's why we have the Supreme Court. Just to tell you, no, you can't. Give it a shot. See what happens.
There you go.
Watch how quickly Tucson becomes the county of Tucson rather than the city of Tucson. So,
Yes, sir.
and whatever the county happens to be there around it. So, let's take a look here. Let's our next little line item is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is the new representative out of the state of Georgia. Right, Georgia, right, Craig? Georgia, am
Yes.
I right?
I believe so.
She has become the new whipping boy, the new boogeyman, the new bad person for the left. She has become the punching bag for the media on the left. There's a story out of, hold on, I want to make sure I get this guy's name right so I can throw him under the bus. Matt Wilstein with the Daily
Senior
Beast.
writer with the Daily Beast.
Senior writer with the Daily Beast, and that's Will with two L's in it. Matt Wilstein.
I wonder if that's senior as in like Joe Biden senior.
Oh, maybe it's Matt Wilson Senior, and then he's a writer, or was it Matt Wilson Senior writer? I don't know.
Or maybe he's just been writing bad stuff for a long time for the Daily Beast.
Oh yeah, he's a senior bad writer.
There you go.
As opposed to a bad senior writer. But you should hear my Spies Like Us argument, just so you know. Let's go here. All right, Matt Wilstein from the Daily Beast. He said that Marjorie Taylor Greene visited the Holocaust Museum recently, and she apparently learned nothing. Well, Craig, I read that and I thought, hold on, this is a pretty hardcore right-wing conservative. I can't see her being a Holocaust denier. Let me read this story. And I read this story a couple of times, and I'm like, where's the part where she doesn't understand the Holocaust? In fact, she understands it. It appears to be at least tenfold more than Matt Wilstein does. She referred to Joe Biden's door-to-door vaccination plan as medical brown shirts. Okay, Greg, I know from history that the brown shirts were Hitler's organization before he became into full power, before he became chancellor in Germany. And this was his group of people that went around knocking, knees and punching in faces and to get people to agree with what they wanted to do. Brown shirts, people that went around door to door enforcing laws that weren't really laws. Just like President Biden said he wanted to do. So she made a very good analogy, yet somehow the Daily Beast thinks that makes her someone that does not understand the Holocaust. I'm not sure I get this guy's thinking.
Well, because ultimately what it is they need a new boogeyman because Donald Trump is not president anymore, and he's not on Twitter or on Facebook, so they can't talk about his mean tweets or his Facebook posts. So all they really have is they got to try and find somebody. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is right now their boogeyman. It's funny because they spend way more time talking about her. I mean, most Republicans I know don't even say her name right because I call her Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. People I know, Republicans I know who just barely, she is not even doesn't even qualify as a backbencher in the House of Representatives. So I don't know why they continue to point her out. But the fact is number one, you're right. She demonstrates by use of this analogy, and that's what it was. It's an analogy in order to tie basically the lack of freedom or the way in which the Biden administration is willing to subvert freedoms and rights of individuals for the quote unquote common good of the party, in that particular case. And you could even say that she's guilty of hyperbole because maybe she, calling them brown shirts and comparing them to Hitler you're comparing it to Hitler or Nazi Germany is an over exaggeration. You can even say she's guilty of hyperbole, but you can't say that she doesn't get the Holocaust. That just doesn't make sense. And the only reason why they're trying to do this is because they're trying to make her look like a kook. And usually when they're trying to discredit somebody and make them look like a kook, then usually that means they're making a pretty good point.
Yeah, you listen to old MTG here. She also went on to say, Craig, that if people don't get, quoting Biden, if people don't get vaccinated, they would have to let people know who the non-vaccinated people were. And she said, listen, Nazi Germany tried that too. They put stars on the Jews and then they put them in trains and they sent them off to gas chambers to kill them. Joe, we're not going to have second-class citizens that we kill here. We're not going to be marking people that are different just because you don't like them. So again, she just displayed a better understanding of the history of Nazi Germany and Hitler more than anybody at the Daily Beast, including Matt Wilstein.
Well, and I will throw one more thing out there. And, back during many of his days in Parliament, Winston Churchill was accused of being the same sort of extremist kind of a kook when he spoke about the dangers of of military proliferation of Nazi Germany.
Yep.
And, in the end, they made him prime minister because he foresaw the threat. And once again, I'm not saying that this is equal to that, but I'm saying you can clearly see the link. You can clearly see the commonality. And the point is, let's not go down that path. We've seen that, but we've seen this before. And I'm not saying this is that, but let's make sure this is not that. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and listen, liberal left, if you want to go after MTG, go after you, because it's been a very successful campaign for you to go after the hard right wing, and then you see what happens. So go ahead, empower her. That's
because
it'll be
by the
fun
way,
to watch her tear you apart.
She has no committees, so all she has time to do is to talk trash about y'all.
Yep, yeah, and she's doing it rather well. Craig, we led off the program talking about crime in your California area out there. I wanted to. I think we got two parting shots I want to bring up today, and I'll let you decide which one. But we're gonna talk about both of these in the context of crime in California.
All right. Well, so here's the first one. As you can see, these are all people who are Antifa protesters or whatever you want to call them, who've been arrested for all sorts of crimes, up to and including attacking police officers, throwing Molotov cocktails, rocks, looting, burning, much like the villains did in The Dark Knight.
Yep.
And The Dark Knight Rises. The reason why I mentioned specifically The Dark Knight is because that brings up the second part of this. Gotham has a new villain. And once again, this just goes back to remind me exactly what my issues and what my concerns with Ms. Harris are, in that she has clearly chosen to side with the criminals over the victims of crime. She has decided that law enforcement is not worthy of support. Even though she has spent a better part of her career supposedly being an enforcer of the law, she's done very little of it, and her biggest accomplishment in California is decriminalizing crime. What we talked about at the very beginning of this show, that is her lifetime accomplishment as a district attorney in San Francisco and as Attorney General for California. And, now the entire nation gets to enjoy her smart on crime policies.
Remember, she put away a disproportionate amount of minorities as well. So, and all of a sudden, when somebody mentioned a national office to her, she became the poster child for saving the minority. She went from the jailer of minorities to the savior of minorities now.
Oh yeah, no, you just, once again, you hit the nail right on the head, and it's. Like I said, man, the hard part is that policy. Elections have consequences, and it's not about winning or losing the election, although that's the key. It's about what you do once you get in office, and I think too many politicians forget that, and too many voters forget that. And because I think if you really think about it, it's amazing the number of policies that when polled on just the policy and the name isn't put to it, how many of Donald Trump's policies actually rank very high amongst U.S. voters. I'm talking super high. Yeah. But once you then add names, you add Donald Trump and someone else, then all of a sudden you start to lose some of that support. But the fact is I would say as a marketing guru, Donald Trump definitely had his finger on the pulse of the United States.
Yes, he did, because he was a businessman, so he understood that, knew how to make the buck. All right, before we get out of here, let's talk about our sponsor one more time, our good friends over at Gorilla Machining. That's GorillaMachining.com. This week on Freedback Friday, you can win yourself a lower parts kit for America's Rifle. What is Freedback Friday? On Friday, we have our interactive where you give us feedback here on the program, and we give away free stuff. So we took two words and made them one. It's like a musical mashup with words. So we made Feedback Friday. You're also going to get yourself a nice sealed in a bag shirt. I'm going to hold this still for just a moment so you can.
There you go. That's it right there. Bam. Got it.
Perfect. So pause that, and then you can zoom in and take a look at those guys over there at Gorilla Machining. It's great having them on board. I'm going to go see them this afternoon, and perhaps hopefully you will be able to start watching us on their social media also. So
sounds like a plan.
Sounds like we can make that happen for you.
Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. Thank you to the folks over at Gorilla Machining. Thank you to the California Republican Assembly, as well as the folks over at Grid Defense. You guys have been phenomenal sponsors. We really appreciate the support. Folks, make sure you visit these sponsors, because these are the folks who help make sure the show happens, right? This doesn't happen without them, so please make sure you check them out. With that, please remember you subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook page. I know you're watching this on multiple different channels, but there's one channel where we do Feedback Friday, and that is on the Rundown. It's our YouTube or our Facebook. You got to be there. That's where you got to be commenting if you want to win. So remember that. Like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same.
There you go. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you on Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. Get Deucey on that.
Hey, these guys are going to break your legs over here.